Okay, we're going to take a look at Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. There's quite a lot for us to get through with this tune, several different parts. The introduction of the track, probably the most famous part of the track, was actually originally played on an acoustic guitar, but just to save time swapping guitars and make it so that you can play it from start to finish, I'm going to run through all the parts with you on an electric guitar. Some of you may or may not have acoustic simulator pedals, or on this particular guitar I have this little switch here that when I have a second lead rigged up, I can swap between electric and acoustic sounds. It has a piezo bridge built into the saddles here, which is a very versatile piece of equipment if you're going to play tunes like this live, or even for when you're jamming with a backing track at home. Just makes it a little more authentic. But you can still get away with playing the track on an electric guitar with a clean sound. I've opted just for a very standard clean chorus sound on the in-house equipment that we use here at Lick Library. So I'm not making any attempts to emulate acoustic sound particularly, just to have a nice clean tone. The first thing that we need to look at with the intro part is the fingerstyle section. Now, some of you may or may not have used this particular technique before. What this is referred to in classical terms is pima, as each of the fingers is given a letter name. P is the thumb, I first finger, M second finger, and A is the third finger. The little finger, if it's ever used, is often referred to as E or X, but you very, very rarely see that being used. The main idea behind this particular technique is to make sure that the first, second and third fingers actually are assigned to the top three strings, and then my thumb is playing the bottom strings. Occasionally I may drop these fingers down into other groups of strings, but pretty much all of the time my thumb is assigned to the bottom strings. Now, if you don't have nails, don't worry too much about that. Being electric players, we tend not to have long nails, as they can kind of get in the way when you're using other techniques, particularly tapping. If you're trying to tap notes on the fingerboard and you've got a nail, having a slight edge on your nail can be quite a good thing if you're using hybrid picking, which is a mixture of holding the pick and then utilising these remaining fingers on your picking hand. Anyway, what I'm going to do is run through the chords of the first section, and then we'll discuss what's going on with both hands. Here we go. That was the first part of the intro and the main progression. Now, the thing that you're going to find difficult here is making sure that specific notes are left to ring into each chord. So make sure that your fretting hand is clear of the strings and you're holding the shape, the chord shape, with a very clear fingering. The shapes that I'm using are basically A minor. Then we have an A minor with a major seventh, and it also has a ninth on the top, so it's an A minor major 9, which is a chord that is diatonic to both the melodic and the harmonic minor scales. It's kind of an unusual sounding chord, used quite a lot in jazz particularly, but you get that kind of movement with the way that the fingerstyle works. So going from A, G sharp, G, and then F sharp. That's the whole idea, to get two parts moving in contrary motion. So the top line is going one way and the bottom line is going down the other way. So we start off with the A minor, where I'm holding the 7th fret of the D and barring across the 5th fret, G, B and E. Then I raise the I drop the root note down a semitone to play the major 7th, and raise the root on the top up a whole tone to play the 9th. So they're playing the 6th fret D, 5th fret G and B, and the 7th fret top E. we're playing either an A minor 7th or a C, depending on where you're looking at the root note coming from. I'm kind of hearing that as a C. So I want to hear that root note. So for that shape, I'm barring across the 5th fret of the D, G and B strings and extending my little finger up to the 8th fret of the top E. So you can hear that contrary motion that I was talking about with the 2 lines going either way. Now as regards to what this hand's doing, the right hand, I'm playing straight across the arpeggio. Then I play the top E and the D string, followed by the B, G and top E. Then I play the top E and D again, followed by the B and G, top E. Then I drop down and hold a D chord. For this chord I'm barring across the 2nd fret with my 1st finger, holding the B string with my 2nd finger, and then I hold the D string playing the F sharp, which is the 3rd of the chord in the bass there. So again, that aids me with that little chromatic passage that's moving down. So that chord, I'm using the same picking formula, which is the top E and D, followed by the B, G and E. So it sounds like this slowly. Now the D. Now we play an F major 7th chord, which is 3rd fret D, playing the F note, 2nd fret G, playing the A note, and 1st fret of the B, which is the C note, and I have an open E. And we do the same picking pattern. So that's the D and the E together. B, G, B, E, B, G. Obviously these are just string names that I'm calling out. They're not the actual notes of the chord, but I don't want to assume that many of you know what notes you would find in these chords, so I'd rather just call out string names. So here's the whole of that part so far. Finish off with the G chord, but for this chord we only play the 2nd fret of the A, followed by the open G and B, and then an A minor. For that I'm just playing the A string, the G and the B. It's up to you, you can grab the whole chord if you want to. Okay, we finish off the section with a little lick on the A string, which is basically playing open A, then sliding into the 8th fret, which is the F note, then the 7th fret, which is the note of E. Then we start the progression again, but this time we actually play from the A string. So you can actually see that I've dropped my fingers down into the D, G and B strings as opposed to the G, B and E strings. You remember what I said about assigning those fingers to whichever group of strings. And that makes the pattern slightly different. So we go just as far as the B, then the rest of the pattern after that with the minor major 9, A minor or C major, D, F major 7th, G over B, A minor. Okay, so I'll play the whole part nice and slowly so you can see exactly what's going on. Here we go. Now the lick. Okay, now here's the next section. Okay, Okay, for that section, start off with the C major chord, regular open chords. We've got a little run into that. Open A, 2nd fret, which is the B note, up to C. So we play the A, D, G, top E. Then we hold a D chord, play the D and the top E together, followed by the B, G, top E. Same pattern on the F major 7th. Now we play an A minor, but as we play the chord, we play the open A and the B string together, but we hammer the first finger down onto the C note. Then the run again, C major, the G chord. For that we play the bottom and top E, followed by the B, G, top E. Then we hold a D chord, but this time we add our little finger on the top E to play a sus4 and pull the whole chord together and pull the little finger off. Then the little run, C, D, F major 7th, a little hammer-on figure onto A minor. Now we just arpeggiate straight across the C chord, across the D, and then just gently grab at the F major 7th. Then we're back into the riff, the intro pattern that we've just played. So. And then again. Okay, then we go back into the next half of the intro, which was the C chord. Then we just play through the first part of the intro section once. And